Hello again. Let's try something new today, shall we? I'm going to tell you a story about one of the darkest posts ever made in Reddit history, and the subsequent fallout that followed. But while I do enjoy scaring you, I do not enjoy making you uncomfortable. We will be dealing with a very dark topic today, more sinister than some of the monsters in my previous stories. Therefore, a viewer discretion is in effect. Please be advised. This is the tale of SpontaneousH. In September 2009, a Reddit user going by the name SpontaneousH made a concerning post in the Ask Me Anything subreddit with the title, "I did heroin yesterday. I am not a drug user, and I've never done anything besides pot when I was a teen. Ask me anything." The post reads as follows. This is a little long. I have never been a drug user. I drank once in a while and smoked pot years ago, back when I was a teen in high school a few times. And that's it. I'm 24 now. I have a master's and a well-paying full-time job. Yesterday I was walking through Washington Square Park, where I pass every day, and there are always people looking to sell drugs. Not in the park anymore due to the cameras, but it is well known you can meet a dealer there and do the transaction elsewhere these days. They don't usually solicit drugs to you unless you stop and stand around near one of them for some reason, or look like you're looking for something. Yesterday I happened to stop by a row of benches to check out some messages on my phone, when a dealer on the bench to my right asked if I need anything. My life has been pretty boring the last few years, and I feel like I really haven't lived, taken any risks, or done anything crazy. So I figure, what the hell? Maybe I'll buy some pot. It's been a while. I said yeah, and after asking me several times if I'm a cop, he gives me his number and tells me to meet him at a fast food place several blocks away, and he will hook me up. I say alright, and nervously check to make sure I have some cash, and go meet this shady looking dude. We sit down, and after hounding me, asking me if I'm a cop, he asks what I need, and I tell him I just want a dime bag. He says something like, "Nah man, sorry, I only sell half ounces. You can take that, and I've got some coke and some H." At this point, I didn't want to buy half an ounce of pot. I probably never smoked more than an eighth in my life, but I started considering his last word, heroin. I've heard so much about it and how crazy addictive it is, and seen it in the movies and TV shows. I'm thinking The Wire here, one of my favorites. And it really started to intrigue me. I've always wondered what it would be like to do heroin. Out of nowhere, I say, I'll take the H, and we do the deal there. I give him the cash under the table, and he slides me a small order of fries, with a little stamped wax baggie in it. Then he tells me to let him leave first. I put it in my pocket, then nervously race home, my heart racing. I cannot believe what I just did. I held onto that bag in my palms, sweating the whole ride home. When I got home, I opened the bag and dumped out some golden flakes and powder onto my glass coffee table. At this point, I don't even know what to do. I know you can snort heroin, but it looked all flaky. So I try to remember how they did it in the movies, but they always seem to inject it in film. So I start Googling how to snort heroin like an idiot, and do a little research on the stuff to see how much to take. I used a card to get it into a fine powder, and move a small bump to the side, which I inhaled through a dollar bill. I didn't feel anything yet, so I snorted a small line, which was essentially half the bag. There was very little inside. I waited, and in a few minutes, I had the most pleasurable feeling of pure relaxation and bliss wash over me. I just sat there, and everything felt amazing. I nodded off and it was great. I had the TV on, but I wasn't paying attention. I must have sat around for 4 hours doing nothing but feeling total pleasure. It was like a full-body orgasm times 10 that kept going on and on. When I would nod off, it felt like I was in a pure, conscious, lucid dream-like state. Sometimes it felt like I was leaving my body. At this point, I did the rest of it and stayed up all night and must have been high for 10 hours straight. I must have slept at one point. It's hard to tell the difference when you nod off and everything feels good regardless. Just the feeling of being under a blanket was amazing. I was blown away by the power of this drug and just how orgasmic it felt. I never understood why people did drugs before and got so hooked on them. But now I see why. I have the urge to do it again, but I will resist and not do it. At least not for a long time. I understand the addiction potential and how someone could easily tear apart their lives with this stuff. Heroin is pure powdered pleasure. I actually feel proud of myself for having the balls to do something this crazy. And I feel like it was a valuable life experience and my window into another world and part of society. I will never forget the day I did heroin. Now, ask me anything. Although SpontaneousH made this post in the Ask Me Anything subreddit, users did not ask him any questions. Instead, the comment section was immediately flooded with Reddit users and former opiate addicts warning him that he was using a very powerful substance and had no idea what he was dealing with. One Reddit user made his concerns very clear with the following comment. I'm seeing red flags all over your post, like this. I have the urge to do it again, but I will resist and not do it, at least not for a long time. I actually feel proud of myself for having the balls to do something this crazy, and I feel like it was a valuable life experience. The problem with opiate addiction is that it creeps up on you in such a subtle way that you won't even notice until you're already in deep. When you find yourself planning out a schedule for using, you're already in trouble. When you're thinking about how good it felt, you're already in trouble. When you'll never forget the day you first tried it, you're already in trouble. The only way to win is by not playing. I wish you the best of luck. You also said, I understand the addiction potential and how someone could easily tear their lives apart with this stuff. You have no fucking idea, or you wouldn't have tried it to begin with. I'm speaking from experience. Another former user remarked the following. Not a question, just a suggestion based on knowledge gained from years as a heroin addict. Don't do it again. Ever. There is nothing so terrible in this world as heroin withdrawals. It takes doing heroin every other day or every day for about 2 to 3 months to get your first habit. But that time goes by real fast when you're high. Just leave it alone. Seriously. Despite these warnings, SpontaneousH was adamant that he would be okay. He even made several updates to his original post, stating the following. New edit. I have a lot of respect for most posters and drug addicts with the experience here, but this Redditor/addict is why people have the negative stereotypes they do about junkies. Please no more comments telling me how I'm going to be a homeless addict dying of an overdose now. Don't lecture me with all of your misconceptions and lack of any real knowledge or experience about the drug. I understand if you do know someone who has been hurt by it. We all do. Any drug can ruin lives. Please ask me questions instead of trying to lecture me, and do some research before spewing lies. Update 2. I don't regret this at all, and I see a lot of talk about how cocaine isn't as bad as heroin, and people telling anyone considering trying a hard drug to do coke instead. I've known and seen a lot of heavy coke users, many who have become addicted and OD'd, and I find it disturbing that people think coke is acceptable because some higher class circles find it socially acceptable. I'm thinking the young Wall Street and college crowds here, who associate it with money and being cool and is easily manageable to use for recreation, while society tells them that heroin is for the poor and destitute and leads to automatic addiction and suffering. So I plan to try cocaine the next chance I get and compare the two in terms of effect and experience. Doing heroin was memorable and life-changing, and I know I can handle anything once. I've done my research on coke and know the risks. So if anyone has any questions or opinions on that matter, feel free to chime in. Whether it is to tell me I'm a fucking idiot, or to give me advice, whatever. This is an experiment and an adventure in life. I'll report back once I try it. However, following this post, things would take a very dark turn. 2 weeks later, SpontaneousH would make another post in the AMA subreddit, this time with the title, 2 weeks ago, I tried heroin once for fun and made an AMA. I have been using since and shot up for the very first time today. Ask me anything. The post reads as follows. I know there will be a lot of people telling me I told you so and urging me to seek help. And they are right. That's all good, and trust me, I know the danger I am ruining my life. But let's keep this an AMA first and foremost. I will be checking out an NA meeting this week, and I know that I am on the fast track to becoming an addict, and I want to stop before it gets out of control and I'm physically addicted. No one in my life can know about this, and I want to stop before it's too late. I have been using for 2 to 3 day periods, then taking a couple days off, then using again. The breaks were in part to try not to get hooked, and in part because I had an unreliable dealer who charged me more than double what I should be paying. I got ripped off several times when I tried to buy off the street. My former drug dealer is the guy I first bought from. Today I met a guy through some internet channels who said he can get bundles, 10 small bags of heroin, for significantly less than half the price my old dealer gave me on his most fair deal. He also happened to be an IV user and had a stash of sealed up needles and supplies and offered to shoot me up. I had kind of hoped I would find someone who would, and he was a pro at finding my small hidden veins and injecting a bag in one shot. To quote Trainspotting, take the best orgasm you've ever had, multiply it by 1,000, and you're still nowhere near it. He gave me some new needles and tourniquets, and when I got home, I tried to do it myself. After not hitting a vein countless times, I finally got a red flag, and was good to go. I have injected 5 bags since 4 p.m., the last one still a little less than an hour ago, and am tempted to do one more. Ask me anything. Forgive me for any delays if I nod off. Just as with this previous post, SpontaneousH gave several updates, but the locations were scattered out of any discernible order throughout the post, giving a scary insight on how the drugs had affected him. Wednesday night update. Fuck. I'm still withdrawing, throwing up, and sweating out gallons of sweat. I really want to use right now and relapse. I know I shouldn't. These urges are so strong and overpowering. Please help me if you can before I get the chance to. 1,000 comment update. Fuck my life. I wish I was trolling and this was all some elaborate lie. I was doing everything right. I've been clean. Somehow a rumor got out that I've been using and my girlfriend found out, and she basically broke up with me last night, but is now putting the decision on hold. I have some serious unrelated business/work I need to attend to in 2 hours, and I don't know if I'll be in any state to be able to and be ready. I can't stop crying. Fuck heroin. Fuck my life. I guess I don't need to say that, since heroin pretty much fucked up my life for me in under just 2 weeks. I just want to die. Edit. I nodded off after taking another hit at 4 a.m. and couldn't be bothered to look at this anymore and just woke up sore with a headache. For those of you who troll because I can do heroin and type well with good grammar, fuck off. It's not that hard if you type slowly and carefully without looking at the screen. The screen is a blur and is too bright. And it's challenging, but I would rather post coherently than look like an idiot. I know it's hard to believe someone dumb enough to do heroin is intelligent in other regards. Comments disintegrated into mindless bandwagon accusations of being a troll. I wanted to engage in a discussion and know I need help, and my mind isn't exactly right. I'll sift through the posts and respond to genuine ones once I feel better. Update number whatever. I slept for about 30 hours, sweat out my entire body, and now I feel okay. I also took a shit for the first time in like a week, which is pretty awesome. I can't stop this on my own. I don't even think I need an A, but I'm not ruling it out. I have no craving or desire to do heroin. I'm sure some of you will be quick to say I need real support, and maybe you're right, but for now, I think I'll be okay. New update. I appreciate all the genuine concern and advice. I finished my stash. Bad idea, but too late. Threw out my needles, and I'm too faded to respond to comments for now. When I sober up in a couple hours, I'll check out some NA meetings. NA update. Went to NA. I shared my story, and it seemed to hit a lot of people. I cried. I got a lot of support and numbers, and I feel like I'm in a good place and truly believe I never have to use again. I will be going back. After countless accusations that SpontaneousH was exaggerating or even making this whole thing up, he posted an image featuring his drug paraphernalia over what looked like a Reddit home screen. He even offered to reveal some of his track marks, which were less than 24 hours old at the time. I won't be showing this here, but you can find it on his user profile on Reddit. The comment section was filled with different responses. Some were calling BS. Some said I told you so. But majority of the comments wished him well in his recovery. After this post, SpontaneousH went dark. Then, in October 2010, a post was made to the IMA subreddit titled, "I am a patient in a psychiatric hospital. I was also technically dead last week. Ask me anything." The author? SpontaneousH. I am in one of the nation's finest hospitals and get internet access in 30-minute intervals before having to restart my browsing session, which is kind of annoying, along with the pesky web filter. I will be very grateful if anyone can help me get around it. All proxies I've tried have been blocked. If you're reading this and know me, you probably already know who I am. Ask me anything. Edit. I can't believe it's been over a year since I discovered heroin and did the AMAs on here after first trying it, and several months later. Time flies when you're an addict. When asked about his comment about being technically dead, he had this to say. I overdosed on a combination of mostly fentanyl. Plus I had a lot of diphenhydramine, pregabalin, temazepam, and maybe some lingering oxymorphone in my system. I stopped breathing with several fentanyl patches in my mouth. They were previously used and I thought they had much less left in them, partially blocking my airway, and I would have been dead if I was found 10 minutes later, according to EMS. It took multiple shots of Narcan to revive me. While many were curious about what had happened to him, the highest rated comment in the section came from a user tearing him to pieces. I just checked your first submission, because I read it and I remembered you getting hostile with people who were saying that maybe trying H wasn't such a great idea. And I'm really glad I did the checking, because I found this little gem. Please, no more comments telling me how I'm going to be a homeless addict dying of an overdose now. Don't lecture me with all your misconceptions and lack of any real knowledge or experience about the drug. I understand if you know someone who has been hurt by it. We all do. Any drug can ruin lives. Please ask me questions instead of trying to lecture me, and do some research before spewing lies. Bet you feel pretty fucking stupid now, don't you? Sounds to me like your little once just for fun turned out to be exactly what people were warning you about, and you didn't listen to them. You just said, "Derp herp, you don't know me, her," and spurted some hand-wavy wishy-washy twaddle about how you just knew that you could keep it in moderation, and it was just this once, really. Now you're in a mental hospital with multiple substance abuse issues. Oh yeah, and you fucking died last week of multiple drug overdose. All SpontaneousH could do was agree with him and let him know, yes, I know I fucked up bad. One week later, SpontaneousH posted once again to the AMA subreddit, this time with a post titled, "I am a heroin, opioid, multi-substance addict with bipolar disorder, headed to rehab tomorrow because I didn't listen to Reddit. I OD'd 1 week ago, and I am in a psych hospital. Ask me anything." New AMA. Tomorrow I leave the psychiatric unit to go to a substance abuse unit for a couple of weeks, before heading to a long-term residential rehab program. I was technically dead from a fentanyl overdose last week, and was revived with multiple shots of Narcan. I found out if I was 10 minutes later, I could have been dead for good, according to EMS. Reddit warned me I would become an addict when I did an AMA a little over a year ago after first trying heroin. Needless to say, I didn't listen, and I'm paying the consequences. Whether or not it would have had a difference is questionable, considering my personality. A staggering number of bipolar people become addicts. This is my third extremely close encounter with death from drugs in the last year. I have done more than you probably know exist. This is my third chance at life, and I don't know if I will get any more. Ask me anything. Edit. I get transferred to the rehab unit in like an hour, which is open door and has a lot of freedom and is even nicer than this unit. Yay. As the comments from the very beginning predicted, SpontaneousH had hit rock bottom. But at least now, he was finally getting the help he needed. Then, just as quickly as he had came, SpontaneousH once again went dark. Years went by without any form of any update. Some assumed that he had finally gotten the help that he needed. Others assumed the worst. In 2017, 7 years after SpontaneousH checked into rehab, somebody posted to the Ask Reddit subreddit, "What's a dark piece of Reddit history that we like to forget that it ever happened?" One user wrote, "There was a post about a guy wanting to try heroin just once. If you go through his post history, you can see him go down the spirals of addiction." Another user commented tagging his name. The replies instantly blew up. However, one reply stood out among the rest. "Hey, this is the first time I have logged into this account in a couple of years, and I had a bunch of messages, so I'll post a quick update here for anyone who stumbles upon this in the future. I'm now almost 6 years clean from all drugs and alcohol, and life's good. It's too difficult for me to go back and even read what I wrote 7 years ago. Maybe one day I will be able to. I don't even remember what I said in the very first post, but I know I can look back objectively and say that things probably weren't as good and normal before I tried heroin that time as I made it seem in that first post. There were certainly warning signs before that. With alcohol, weed, and other things, I had issues with substances, although I probably couldn't admit it to myself at the time. I would have never tried it if things were going well for me. What followed in the later posts with where it took me was very real. Thanks for everyone who has reached out." He followed up his surprising return to Reddit with one final post, this time in the opiates recovery section of Reddit. SpontaneousH 7 years later. Update for anyone who stumbles upon this account in the future. I don't know if anyone here remembers me, but you can look through my submission history and get an idea. It's not pretty, and will take you through a journey of my first time trying heroin to my life quickly falling apart. So take that as a warning, it's graphic. I was totally out of my mind, and you may not want to, depending on where you're at. This is the first time I've logged into this account in a couple of years, and I had a bunch of PMs, and people occasionally mention this account in various places on Reddit. So I'll post a quick update here for anyone who stumbles upon this in the future. I'm now almost 6 years clean from all drugs and alcohol, and life is good. It's too difficult for me to go back and even read most of what I wrote 7 years ago. Maybe one day I'll be able to. I don't even remember what I said in the first post, but I know and look back at me and things weren't probably as good and normal before I tried heroin that first time as I made it seem in that first post. There were certainly warning signs before that with alcohol, weed, and other things I had issues with, although I probably couldn't admit it to myself at the time. I would have never tried it if things were going truly well. What followed in the later posts with where it took me was very real. Thanks for everyone who has reached out over the years. I hope everyone here is able to find recovery and get the help they need. SpontaneousH was alive and in recovery. When responding to several comments, he credits a 12-step program and attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings with aiding with his recovery, and warns people, not even once should they try heroin. As of recording this, it's been 3 years since anyone heard from SpontaneousH on Reddit, but he pops up every now and then. With that, this ends the tale of SpontaneousH. Wherever you are and whoever you are, we wish you the best. Congratulations. You made it out of the Eerie Hollows. Welcome to the other side. I'll never get tired of saying that. This was one of the hardest videos I had to make, but it was also the most fun, and the longest, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to do more similar content to this in the future. If you have any internet oddities or mysteries that you want to explore, let me know in the comments. Or you can email me or add my new IG page. I'm so bad at promoting that. You have to scroll all the way back to the very beginning to get a look at it. It's at the Eerie Hollows. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. And remember,
be scared. Be very scared.